Okay, in this section we're going to cover what happens if, or worst case, or real scenarios that can happen with owning real estate, and what an accumulated preferred return is. So let's go through what happens if, because these are often questions I get after going through the points that I've already gone through. So what happens if the tenant leaves? Real concern. Happens every day in commercial real estate. We get 5 years down the road, and let's say I bought a retail property, and in that property we've got Blockbuster Video, and they occupy that space. And then we have Mimi's Nail Salon in this space, and then we have Best Cuts. So you can go get your video, you can go get your nails done, and get your hair done all in the same place. Very common thing that happens. Let's say this is located in Nortonville, Kentucky. Well, Nortonville is not a very big town. It's a small town. There's 8,000 people that live in Nortonville. I know this because I own a Dollar General along with investors in Nortonville, Kentucky, and that Dollar General does about $2.4 million a year in sales, which is $30,000 a person. So obviously that's not all coming from that town. It's coming from places that are surrounding there, etc. Let's say we bought a Blockbuster Video there instead. Blockbuster was a great company. We've gone through their travails in the past. I buy this property with 5 years left on it. On Blockbuster Video's lease, Best Cuts also had 5, Mimi's Nails have been renewed too. Great stabilized deal. Until Blockbuster Video goes vacant. Out of the blue. Didn't see it coming. Real life. As much as we do everything that we can do to mitigate risk on the front side before we buy something, as much as we do everything we can do to understand, it is very possible that this scenario can play out. And it does. Well, in this scenario, Blockbuster Video was 50% of the income, Mimi's Nails was about 20%, and Best Cuts was about 30% of the income. Well, if Blockbuster Video goes out of this location, I suddenly only have income from the other two. Well, that income, let's say it's enough to pay the mortgage and the basic expenses, but there's no additional cash flow coming out of the property, which is about where that would be if we were 50% to 60% occupied on a property. Well, I'm going to keep on paying the mortgage payment, but it's going to take a minute to try to figure out how we take care of Blockbuster Video. They could have a bankruptcy process that goes on for a while. I could not get the keys back for a period of time. Let's say it takes me 12 months. That's conservative, it may take me 18 months, but let's say it takes me 12 months to replace Blockbuster Video. During this time, because I have no cash flow, I can't pay out preferred returns. And we won't. We do not ever pay preferred returns out of our reserve account. The investors only receive income actively when we have income on the property. We have only enough income and cash flow on the property to pay off the mortgage or to pay the mortgage on a monthly basis. There's not any other income. Well, for that 12 months, we're going to keep account of what we have not paid in preferred returns. Let's say I had raised $500,000 worth of capital in order to purchase this deal. We've got $100,000 sitting in a reserve account, and $400,000 was used as a down payment on a $2 million deal. So we had a $2 million purchase price. We only had $100,000 in reserves, which is too low, by the way. We should never do that. And we have $400,000 that we use as a down payment on the property. Well, for the next 12 months, we're paying our mortgage, we're paying the expenses, and lo and behold, we bring somebody else in. Verizon comes in and saves the day. And they're paying similar to what Blockbuster Video's paying. Maybe they're paying a little bit more, that'd be a bonus. But I've got 12 months of preferred returns that haven't been paid. Well, at $500,000, if it was an 8% preferred return, that would be $40,000 a year. So I've got $40,000 of preferred returns that did not get paid. I'm accumulating them. I'm saying, hey, we're going to pay you this. So Verizon comes in and we get cash flow. Well, we can start paying the regular preferred returns again. And typically, quarterly, we would take whatever was left over and spread it among the entire ownership. In this case, though, we've got accumulated preferred returns. So before the debt signer, before the enhancers, before our syndication team here in-house gets any capital or any cash flow from that property, this $40,000 must be paid back. And that may take 2-3 years before that's entirely paid back. But we're going to catch up that preferred return. Now, this ends at closing. Okay, so this is if we sell the property and we still have accumulated preferred returns. And if you go back to the order of life on a previous video, you can see where we pay out the preferred returns. If there's not enough money to pay back the accumulated preferred returns, it's over. It's sale. If we have lost, we have lost, and that's the point where we actually lose, would be at a sale. So we will pay back the accumulated preferred returns to the point that it can. However, if we sell the property because the property suddenly is worth more than it's going to be worth in the next 10 years, and we take it to market, we'll pay off the sales expenses, number one, we'll pay off the mortgage, number two, we'll pay back the investor capital, number three, then comes the preferred return that were accumulated, and then only if there's capital then does it spread to everyone else that's in the deal. This is not a guarantee. Your preferred returns are not quote-unquote a guarantee. If there's not cash flow, they won't be paid. However, if there is, and traditionally in our properties there are, then it will be paid on a monthly basis to you. So this covers what happens in this scenario. Let's say Verizon does come in, I get a 10-year lease from Verizon, I get a 10-year lease extension from Best Cuts, and Mimi's goes ahead and renews back for another 5 years. We've had some fun in Nortonville, Kentucky now, and we decided we want to sell that property, and we do take it back to market. That's how that would play out in that scenario. So let's look at an even more horrible scenario. And I'm giving you this information because these are real life scenarios. Again, we're mitigating to make sure this doesn't happen to the extent that we can, but it could happen. And I want you to know the risks that are involved in investing in a passive investment in commercial real estate. Let's go back to Nortonville, Kentucky. I like Nortonville, Kentucky. It's been very good to us. And we purchase a Blockbuster Video. Wait, we've done this before, that's not good. So Blockbuster, but instead of having other tenants in the space, we have only Blockbuster. They take up the entirety of the building. As we already know, a year and a half in, Blockbuster goes bankrupt and we don't have anybody in the space. We take the next 12 to 18 months, and now our reserve account, which better be more than $100,000 when we close the deal, we're gonna make it $200,000 because that's more realistic for what we'd have in a deal of this size. We're gonna use that $200,000 to make mortgage payments and to pay any tenant improvement dollars that we might have to have for Verizon coming back into the space. Only thing is, Verizon never comes. We're sad, we get 12, 18 months in, and the local American Legion comes in and says, we will take this space. Only we're going to take this space at 60% of what Blockbuster Video was paying you. After 12 to 18 months of doing our best with all the relationships that we have in the retail sector, pounding the pavement, doing whatever we've got to do, this is our best case scenario. We sign a fresh 10-year lease with the American Legion, and they're paying less money. In this scenario, if we've exploited it to this point, it has become functionally obsolete. It is no longer the investment that we wanted. Hopefully we are 5, 10, 15 years into this, and there's money, even if we sell at a lower amount than we bought it at, there's money still available so that we can pay people back and have more. But maybe there isn't. And in that case, we will pay things according to the order of life, which we've gone through in the previous video and again in this video. And to the extent that the money is available, it's there. Now, if we can't pay off the mortgage for some reason because that's short and we're at that point, it then becomes the debt signer's responsibility and our responsibility to deal with that scenario. It does not fall upon the investors. It is important that you know that this is a risk factor that you have to look at whenever investing in commercial real estate. You want to invest with people that go the extra mile, like HJH Investments, to make sure that this scenario has the smallest percentage of possibility of coming up, yet you need to realize it is a possibility. Our job is to help protect your capital. I don't have a crystal ball. To the best of our ability, I can't see what happens in the next 10 years, but we have lots of experiences to be able to make great estimations of what we think is going to happen over the next 10 to 15 years. This is what happens if. These are worst case scenarios and how accumulated preferred returns are divvied up and when they're accumulated and how they are paid out.